Put your red shirt on and a brown coat too. Everybody's joining the crew. We got just one ring that we rule them all. Hope you remember your towel. Get your Ulu feathers and your needler guns. A sonic screwdriver or a sword +1. Use Valerian steel if it will get you to come. To the pit tank. To the pit tank. The Rocky Mountain pit tank.
Hi, I'm Guy,
Hi, I'm Troy,
Hi, I'm Alex.
and this is Geek Tank.
your red tape sized podcast. Like, what? Red tape? What? It's
So today we are going to go through a number of spreadsheets for following all of the various expenditures that we have to. Oh,
yeah. Well, I only bring this up because the DMV.
yeah.
So Guy and
I am
are
over the DMV.
we're driving instructors, which has come up before. And the place we teach at, in case you didn't know, the graduate driver's license program for teenagers is they're supposed to do 30 hours of classroom time, and really they're doing 27 hours of classroom time plus a 3-hour homework sheet, which really takes about a half hour at most, maybe an hour if you're really slow. But it ends up being credited for 30 hours of classroom time, and that a homework sheet was 2-sided piece of homework, right? And
Which had a crossword puzzle in it
I know
that they loved. All the kids loved. I say /S.
yeah, because there are multiple answers that could fit in it.
I usually said you can. It's snowing. I'll take raining.
Yeah,
that also fits.
But yeah, the DMV for some reason decided no, let's make it a 9-page homework thing, and so now we gotta to hit kids with that.
Although I have problems with filling up class 8, now I'm going to spend at least 15 or 20 minutes grading the papers. So
Oh no,
there's
you can't.
that.
You don't grade them. It has to go to the class. Oh, you will if there's no one at the desk.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be someone at the office staff.
For class 8, there's always got to be an office person. Otherwise, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's not that. It's like going over all the answers as to why they screwed up here and screwed up there. That'll waste more of my time on class 8, which is nice. Because the last thing that they did was they decided we could no longer do the test during class. It had to be on the kids' time, which meant that we had to end class and then start the test.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, the test and the retake of the test and all of that stuff could happen inside class and takes about an hour to go through all of that. They removed it. So they won't let us do it. So now we have to song and dance and juggle and play card games and all kinds of stupid stuff.
Which I do. So
yeah, exactly. For that hour that has just been like opened up like a big gaping hole in my class. So having anything that wastes a little bit more time actually is kind of good in my book. This isn't hurting me that much. The kids are going to hate it.
Yeah, well, but in any case, I don't know. I'm fully expecting to not have this job long because I probably am not strict enough with the kids. And if the DMV ever comes in, they're like, how dare you let them go to the bathroom when it's not their 5-minute break or something like that.
There is, well, now I've been at this job for a lot longer than you through a lot more of these dumbs, and I would be more than willing to bet that you and I are about equally as strict. I have openly spoken about my disdain for all of the red tape in classrooms that I know have cameras. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure somewhere along the line, it's only a matter of time before the DMV reviews one of my classes, and I'm sitting there going, stupid DMV, stupid. And then they're like, we would like for you to fire that teacher because he's bad.
Yep.
So the truth of the matter is, I don't think that
we should take bets on which of us goes out first.
Right? Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm a kid first teacher, and I always have been. Mm-hmm. Red tape isn't important. It's getting the kids to not be killed. There was an article I read. So for whatever reason, a couple of nights ago, I decided to, that movie we show in the first class,
The Lost Foot.
Yeah, the Lost Foot movie. And I, for some reason, wanted to go look up those crashes.
Yeah.
See if they were real. I mean, were these? And hey, Brent, and I could find Ashley, the Lost Foot. She actually is an activist. That's what she does. She goes around now.
Losing your foot would do that.
Yeah. She goes around trying to get people to drive safer and stuff like that. That's cool. Same with the twins, Greg and Steve, which Greg was killed. Steve, I didn't know they were twins.
No, I knew they were brothers, right?
They were brothers, but they weren't just brothers. They were twins.
Huh.
So I didn't know that. But Greg was killed, and Steve, of course, was badly brain damaged. He's still activist. He's still an activist today, and he still goes around getting people to drive safely and stuff like that. I couldn't find
Sarah.
I couldn't find Sarah. I could find the other people in her car's obituaries that said that they died on that day in a car accident, but I couldn't find her. She's gone. Weird. So I couldn't find her case. I couldn't find where she went, but I did, sadly, come across a car accident that happened about 6 months ago here, and I recognized the name of the kid that was killed, and it was one of the kids I had in one of my classes.
Oh, man.
And I was like, oh, man, I was working hard. But I recognized her because she was one of the kids that her name happens to be the same as a certain individual in my life whom I was attached to. And I was making specific jokes about a specific singer with that same name and stuff like that. And she was taking them very well and being very jovial about it. But
did it have details as to who was at fault and what happened?
She wasn't driving.
Okay.
Someone else was driving, but she was ejected.
I would have been very surprised if it had been them.
She wasn't driving, and in fact, apparently, she didn't know the driver of the car. It was one of those, they were coming back from a party, and they all decided to go with this one person in this car, and they had more people than seatbelts.
Oh, I was about to say, if she was ejected, I'm assuming no seatbelt.
She had more people than seatbelts, and so she was ejected and killed. She was the only fatality in the accident, though. And the driver, they're still trying to determine whether the driver had a license or didn't have a license, or whether it was on a provisional license. But the driver was underage, and provisional license still says you cannot have more than one person under the age of 21 in your car with you. So they were, no matter what, they were out of bounds. But it was still very sad. I was like, oh,
yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. It was one of the kids. And I mean, and it was verified because they verified the high school. And that's one of the high schools that I typically have at my locations. And so,
yeah, I've made it my mission with every class has been my three big things that I say, look, these three things aren't necessarily going to be on a test. One of them might be. The other two, very likely not going to be on a test. That is the 3-second following distance in good weather, more in bad weather. Biggest mistake I see people making out there. And then the always check your intersections, even on green lights, especially on green lights.
Yeah.
But always your left, center, right. And then anytime, get in the habit, anytime your foot goes to the brake, look in the rearview mirror. Make sure you're making the safer choice at this moment, because braking might not be the safe choice if the person behind you is looking at the phone texting and you have a clear intersection that you could just go through.
Or if you have an 18-wheeler bearing down on you like one of our friends.
Yeah.
I tell that story all the time because I saw that car. That was astonishing. I don't know if you remember that accident, Alex, that I'm referring to.
Remember she was a dojo student.
Yep. And Alex dated her.
We were dating pretty much at the time. Yes.
Yes. So, and she got a concussion from the rear bumper hitting her in the back of the head. because the semi peeled the car up like a tin can and pushed the bumper into the cabin of the car through the roof and hit her in the back
I never
of the head.
saw the accident, but I remember the conversations about it.
Yeah, I saw the car and went, well, and it was at about that same time that another member of our dojo had a motorcycle accident, which I also refer to often. I ran into that member later on at college. She was a substitute teacher at the college when I was at Westwood, and and I was glad to see her and glad to see her moving on with her life. She didn't remember me at all or recognize me because that memory center was gone, and it was pretty
lucky girl.
But I mean, once I brought up the dojo and everything like that, she knew that we knew each other. She just, I'm sorry, I don't remember you, and I'm like, that's totally fine. You don't have to, no requirement, and it was all good. And so, but it is interesting.
Gloss right over the fact that I was making a joke about forgetting you as a lucky thing.
Oh yeah. Well, it's because I didn't hear it all the way. I was still in the middle of processing the outward statement.
I didn't really know her very well, but I do know that she was in a really bad motorcycle accident. I know I'm super biased against it, but I just think motorcycles are a bad idea, and I don't know. But it's a free country. If you want to put yourself on two wheels and an engine and launch yourself down the road with a bunch of crazy drivers.
Yeah, only a crazy person would ride a motorcycle, right, Brent? There is no way any normal human would. Okay.
I think there's some kind of gene in the brain that makes motorcyclists think, I'm really good, so good that even bad drivers can't get me.
Right, Brent?
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. It's because when you think about it logically, it's just one of these weird things. Funny. But even worse than that is when you see someone on a motorcycle in shorts and flip-flops, and that's it.
The thing is, at least I know Brent takes the proper. Nope, not there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not tooling down the road and swim trunks and rocks.
He is most certainly not going to fall for us taunting him tonight. All right. Some geeky news I found out is Millie Alcock is officially cast as Supergirl.
What else has she been in? I don't know.
She was in the new Game of Thrones stuff.
Oh, House of Dragon thingy.
House of Dragons.
I just saw. Of course, it's a few months old. Supposedly, if his word can be trusted, George R.R. Martin has said he's 3/4 of the way through the last book, and he is. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like Tara and I were actually talking about this. Like, do you think he just gave up because it's kind of like it was already done as the show, and he just sort of like meh, and then threw it to the side?
Oh, I don't think that's not the way he thinks. I think what he's going to do is write something that completely and totally overwrites
everything we saw on the show,
the TV show in every possible way, and may not even be logical, just so he can go out of his way to pervert the TV series. Because I think he was mad about that, which I don't know. Because my problem, of course, is that I don't know. People who have egos like that sometimes worry me about the way they do things. Like good creators, but with big egos. Because he's not gonna. There's no way he'd write something that was similar to the TV show, because he'd have to surrender to it, submit to the writers. Even though, according to the writers, they sat in a hotel room with him and asked him how it was supposed to end, and built their entire thing off of what he said. Mm-hmm. They had like 50, 60 pages of notes. So like. Theoretically, but I mean, as soon as everybody started hating the last season, he started going, "Oh, there's my beta testers."
If you were to get a book of the last season, it'd just be like the last chapter would be mostly redacted, and you would see occasionally a verb and a noun,
right?
Because the fight scene was just almost pitch black. So to simulate that, you would just have most of the words missing from the page. But okay, so this person's been cast as Supergirl, Superwoman?
Yeah, Supergirl.
Supergirl.
Yep. And that was Millie Alcock. I'm not familiar with her at all. I mean, when I've seen her face, I recognize her, so I know I've seen her, but I don't know her from anywhere. I'm familiar with her face though.
So is that a movie or a series?
Just DC Universe.
Okay.
So whatever they're going to put her in. There's talk that the next Superman movie is going to be the history of Superman or the whatever of Superman, and so that's probably what they're doing, is gearing up to have Supergirl in there, because that makes sense. It's part of Kara is part of the Superman mythos,
right?
The cousin. So makes sense. And actually, I rather like Supergirl as a character. Has always been very entertaining, and they've done a very good job with her since they brought her out, because she's much more fun-loving and playful. Whereas Superman's always, must do the right thing. I'm here to be the person to save the day. She does save the day, but she tends to also, spill her coffee and, have moments and wonder why she's here and, things like that, which she's much more approachable and accessible as a human, ironically.
Last movie, Supergirl, was just super murdery because she had been a prisoner for so long. Did you see that one? The Flash, I think it was.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, they had a Supergirl in that who had been alternate reality, or I mean, because everybody wants to do multiverses. So in one of the multiverses, it wasn't Kyle that came here; it was his sister, and she gets captured, and she's been captured for a really long time. The Flash and Batman go and rescue her, and upon rescuing her, she of course takes out all of her vengeance on her captors who have had her captured for so long.
Right.
So it was one of those where after seeing The Boys, when someone that strong punches somebody and they don't turn into red mist, you're kind of disappointed. Because it's like, yeah, the body wouldn't just fly off a mile away; they would explode.
But humans aren't designed for that.
Or a chunk of them would fly off a mile away.
Right. That, and it's but that was one of those movies where, because I went into it fully expecting to hate every second of it, it had parts of it that I thought was decent. But I don't think I could recommend it to anybody unless if they wanted to watch it out of curiosity, as far as and how to make a film and not make a film. But cool.
No, I mean, I'm all for, as geeky things go, I'm all for anything geeky. So I like the fact that we are sort of, there's a lot of good geeky stuff out there. There's a lot of bad geeky stuff out there, but there's geeky stuff. Something I keep thinking about all the time is how my life was in the late 80s, where, well, I guess I'll watch Max Headroom because that's it. That's what I got. It's either Dallas or, Dynasty or
Who Shot JR
or Max Headroom. So there we go. At least that's sci-fi, which has always been something that I've kind of, I'll take it. I keep every so often, I'm like, I don't care if it's good or bad. Just the fact that it's out there and there's so much of it now, it's like, oh, this is nice. Because I can actually pick and choose. And if I don't like the new Supergirl, I don't have to watch her.
Some of the stuff I found entertaining, I can't really talk about because it'd be too spoilery. But yeah, I'm looking it up. It looks like she'll be appearing in James Gunn's Superman Legacy.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Sorry, no. I was just thinking about it because she's a legacy. She's what's known as a legacy character. Whenever they do like a new character, but it's a kid, or it's a girl, or it's a different race, that's known as a legacy character.
I had not heard that before. Interesting.
Yeah, that's what it's been known forever.
Well, yeah, but we didn't hear it, so.
Yeah, but no, it's just funny that it's like, it's Superman Legacy with legacy characters.
It's Superman Legacy, but he's still going to be male and white.
Oh, she's also going to be in. She's also going to be in her own solo feature called Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Tomorrow of the future.
Is it Supergirl going through puberty?
Hell no.
I don't know if I want to watch that.
Supergirl, woman. But is she girl of tomorrow or woman? Yeah, she has to go from Supergirl to Superwoman. I don't know. No director has been announced. All right, I volunteer to direct it.
Yeah, my favorite rendition of Supergirl is probably from DC Superhero Girls, where she's all punk rock. It's awesome.
Yep.
And there's some media I never would have watched without my kid.
Yeah, definitely.
DC Superhero Girls. It's the same. The showrunner is the same person who did the original few seasons of Friendship is Magic. A woman named Lauren Faust. And I haven't seen much of her work, and she's been in animation for forever, doing other smaller parts before she started doing production and show running. But everything I've seen of hers is cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, legacy character. And you guys are talking about dead people earlier on.
No.
Yes. And like thinking like the taunt, like I was joking at my work because there's some turnover and says like we should have a workplace tontine. So a tontine is when you a group of people all pony in money and usually invest it, and sometimes it's such that they will get money out of it periodically, but everybody ponies money in, and as people die, of course, there's more money to go around, and at the end,
I know this because of The Simpsons.
I know this. I first heard it from Archer.
Oh,
and so I was telling people like we should have a workplace tontine. It's like I would absolutely put $50 to $100 into that, and I know I'm leaving soon. So
well, and dying and or leaving, yes.
Well, for the workplace tontine, just be leaving.
Yeah.
Or getting fired. Yeah.
I was kind of like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So in the tropes, it's a legacy character is a character whose identity is passed down to them from an older character in the form of a title, job, or persona for the newer character to assume. There are many ways this can come about. So I could see how it's when they want to reboot a character and they want to get away from every superhero as a white dude. Why they would do it this way. It makes sense.
Yeah, and in fact, I mean, as Princess Week said in one of her more recent video essays, like don't be fooled. There was plenty of mad hate for Miles Morales.
Oh my God, yeah.
When he first hit the scene.
Yep.
Don't be tricked by the movies, and how everyone loves him now. But it's just also interesting that, and she points out how someone points out as in Spider-Verse, the first movie, Miles Morales is not only is he a legacy character, he's literally carrying on the legacy of Peter Parker, not just
because he dies.
You're a spider dude now. I'm going to change my name to Arachna Dude. So.
You know what else is kind of a legacy in its own way?
People that give us money.
Yeah.
So that we
choosing this is a good opportunity to do
so we can put that money into a tauntaun.
So we
can.
And
I want to call it a
con. It's a lukewarm count.
So I thought it smelled better on the outside.
Money yeah, I was gonna say, then didn't our money smell better before?
Money stinks.
All right, I got it.
Okay.
I'm assuming you haven't done it yet because you're waiting for me to do it.
No, I was actually just putting the jokes to end.
Never.
Because, this show is full of jokes because it's sponsored by Kieran Games, Geekway Homes, The Massage Wizard, and Your Mom,
the Massage Sorceress.
Okay, not going there. I'm going to leave that one.
I'm a mother lover.
That was fun.
That was very fun. I've got.
Yeah.
Go.
I was thinking, like, it does annoy me that is the only one where the parts are all broken out.
I'm gonna print it out because that just was too irritating. and just for my own ability to practice it, since I may have heard it once or twice on the videos years ago, and
Right.
So yeah, what you missed out, Guy, is Alex and I did the trilogy from Saturday Night Live's Lonely Island for Dick in a Box, Mother Lover, and then Three Way.
Yeah.
So.
Nice.
This is good.
Are you feeling better then? I assume you seem better.
Yeah, I do feel better. The cough is still omnipresent, which is irritating.
Mm-hmm.
And I did decide not to go to school today, and so, but that was okay because it was cultural anthropology, and so I will go in tomorrow. But I've got my first class at 8 a.m., so I got to get my butt out of here.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's an early class.
Hey, Bob, welcome to the show.
Hey, Bob.
Your games are now living downstairs.
Yep. And I have my first research paper is due on Thursday. And my problem has nothing now to do with finding enough, but now I've got the other problem. I have too much. So I've got to pare it all out now. I found out more than I ever expected to find out about my thesis. And it went about 12 different directions. And I found a whole bunch of new questions I wanted to ask. And so I think I have all my archaeology research papers covered for the next 4 or 5 years. Because now I'm just all kinds of questions asking now. So.
Well, that's probably a good problem.
Yeah, I'm in the right place at the right time. Every class that I'm in is fascinating, and everything I'm doing is fascinating, and I'm learning so much. And tomorrow I have a DNA lab. We're gonna mess with DNA. That just sounds fun.
I got your DNA right here.
I have no idea how we're gonna do it. I don't know what's gonna happen. But we're going to find out that Troy was definitely involved in that altercation. So
I'm everywhere.
Yeah, you're everywhere. That's why we don't carry UV lights around anymore. So, but that's going to be fun. And then after that, I go to my Japanese class, and so far, I've turned in I think something like 12 or 13 papers so far. It's just been brutal, but I've been doing them all, and I've been doing them ahead of time.
I was going to say, is that 12 to 13 on time or 12 to 13 to get you ahead of the game?
Nope, all on time. I fell behind because I was sick.
Oh.
I would have had this week's papers done by this weekend, except I fell sick. And now I have to do my research paper first, which goes out of so I'll be doing Wednesday's paper and Friday's paper on time, so to speak. But I've got a test on Friday in Japanese. But the teacher, everything, even whenever I'm confused and I'm not sure I have this, and I'll put in parentheses, I thought this was something else, and it seems weird to say this, and in parentheses, then he would respond and say, "You're absolutely correct. In conversational Japanese, we wouldn't have said this. And so you're not wrong here. And, you needed to put this here and that there, but the reason that you expressed your reasoning for not repeating this word, and that makes total sense." So he didn't ding me for it, Every time I did something that was a little out of there, like there was one thing where it was like a time or something, and so I put a X and then said, "I'm not sure what I should put here. I don't think I want to put anything here. Feels like I shouldn't." But then it's an opening, wants me to put something in there, and he wrote, "You're also right here, but we wanted to show contrast." So I was like, "Oh crap." So, but yeah, so far I am at 99.913% in my Japanese class, and the only reason I'm down is because I missed class on Thursday. And so it dinged me relative to all of the other, 4 classes we've had so far. I have now missed technically 1/5 of all classes. So, that dings my percentage a little bit. But I've never been this jazzed about school. Every class is fascinating.
Cool. What you missed last week, announcement I made is that I was one of 6 people that was chosen for the improv group that I went to the audition for out of 15, 16 people that applied. And first show is going to be into February on a Sunday from like 9 to 10. If I'm remembering correctly, because I think you know what? I'm wrong. I think it's 8 to 9 and the kids shows from 7 to 8. So, but it's only had 2 rehearsals so far. And I was trying to remember, and I don't know if you'd remember this guy because you weren't at like a ton of rehearsals that I hosted, but you were at some. How long did I usually set my rehearsal times for when we'd get together and rehearse for Improv Nito?
They were only an hour.
That was
hour
it?
And a half.
An hour just doesn't seem like enough time.
It didn't feel like it either, but you warmed us up really well.
Oh yeah.
I still sing like Underdog all the time now. Every so often, Underdog will just creep through my brain.
But yeah, I'm feeling like, this is a new group. We need more rehearsals. We need to hang out more, just to learn things. But yeah, so far my only real concern is the director wanting to really try not to have any kind of restrictions. And I'm like, so we're a rated R type group, and I think saying fuck for the sake of saying fuck to be funny doesn't work in my brain. There's got to be some kind of emotional content behind it for it to matter. And so I don't know how it's going to go. We'll see. And the whole thing, the game Deaf Interpreter came up. We were talking about that because something we've been wondering about is is that crossing a line that's insensitive? Because is it, could it be interpreted wrong that's making fun of deaf people? And what I'd said is I think that the way it has to go about is because there's been so many people now caught lying about having the skills to interpret and taking interpretation jobs. This blew my mind because you think they would vet these people better. But there was one where there's like here in Denver. It was on TV. Some police chief was making some announcement. They had a deaf interpreter who did not know what they were doing, deaf interpreting, and got caught. And then, of course, appropriately fired. So I was like, I think if we sell it in the way of pointing out that there's people lying about their skills and getting jobs, and that this person who is interpreting tonight has lied about their skill, that way we're punching at the people who are lying about it.
That might work.
I feel like if we're going to bring the game back, that would have to be how it would work in that way. But I said,
interpreter.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not going to tolerate any racial comments and stuff, because that's a line I don't want anybody in the group I'm going to cross to cross that I would be comfortable with. And it's like, you can grab my butt all you want. I'm comfortable with that, but
I do it all the time.
Start doing other stuff like that. You're doing it right now.
I'm doing it right now.
But we'll see. Digital butt grabbing. Either an album name or a band name.
Yeah, that's one of those things that, racial jokes specifically, I have a hard time with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody should, but I do have a couple of friends who are non-white males who like to make comments typically about their own racial group, and it makes me uncomfortable.
Maybe they're testing you. Maybe they're testing you.
No, this has been an ongoing discussion between a buddy of mine and my buddy's wife is like, why are you doing this? Why taunt him? He doesn't want to get involved in this. This is a good thing. She's like, this is good. And his argument is it's kind of saying it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, as in the racial tension is not here. We're good. Like you and I are good. And I'm like, yeah, but can we just be good without having to do something about being good? You know what I mean? It's like I don't feel obligated to do that with my other friends who are of color. Like, I don't need to, I don't know. That just, for some reason, I'm like, but I think part of it also is you and I are from the South where, and we're of an age where it was still open. It was still there.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was still okay for people to do that. And we saw it. And that's a little different. I think a lot of people come into this stuff where if they weren't of color, they very rarely saw it.
No, I mean, have pretty much just owned family members I have that freely drop the N-word in a real mean, negative way. Not, hey, look at me, I'm a cool rap person trying to be like other rap people.
No, but you can't trust them because they're going to steal stuff.
I do not wish to be a part of that family member's life. You can go have your own life. I had to look up the name because I couldn't remember it, but Ibram X. Kendi wrote a book called How to Be an Anti-Racist, and he was on NPR, and I was listening to him talking about it, and he was pointing out stuff about how people of color are guilty of being racist and don't realize it because they've been brainwashed by society, throwing all that information at them. They begin to believe the false information that's being thrown at them, and that was something I never thought about because I'm a white guy.
Yeah.
And it's not part of my world, so I'm oblivious to it until it pops up right in front of me, and then when it does, I'm like, "Holy crap, that's really interesting! I need to pay attention to this."
Yeah, I read another book by him named "Stamped from the Beginning," which is like the history of racist thought and ideas in America. It's really good.
He's sounded super intelligent.
It's a very good book, but there are honestly some things he does with. I think it's part of his personal style, which I didn't like.
Okay.
But I thought that factually, I thought it was very interesting, and for the most part, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is cool. I'm along for this." But like I said, like there's a couple little turns of phrase he uses here and there. I'm kind of like, but I don't know enough of his work to know if that's his personal style. But I have an inkling that that's it.
Looks like it was co-written by him and a guy named Jason Reynolds.
Jason Reynolds. I blame him.
Yes.
Alex is like, where the hell's my camera?
Shadow. Shadow. Light. Yes.
Camera.
Oh wait, no. I'm sorry. This is called Stamped Racism, Anti-Racism, and You, a remix of the National Book Award-winning Stamped from the Beginning. So let me check. So
remix.
This one. So I might be, he might not be part of the other one. They might only be.
I yelled that at a club recently where they all the DJs use their computers now, and like he had done something. The DJ had done something with made the Windows error sound come on up in the middle of the song, and I'm like, remix. And he's like, and he knows me, and I can just see him like, fucking hate you, man.
Okay, I'm sorry.
If it was from the 80s, though, it would have been a mixtape.
Sorry, Jason, to bring down Alex's ire on you. It wasn't his fault. It's Ibram. Stamped from the Beginning was only Ibram's book.
Okay.
But
no, it's cool. Good book. Worth reading.
All right. But yeah, we'll see. That's one of the tough things with improv too is it is all made up right there on the spur of the moment, and you got to be careful if you're not thinking at least a couple of words ahead before you open your mouth and let words fall out.
Yeah.
Blah.
There was some show that we were doing for Children's Hospital.
Oh shit.
Charity thing, and I remember before the show, somebody's like, "Someone in the audience is missing an arm, so don't make any jokes about arms missing."
Oh no.
And I don't remember what it was, but it came up like kind of at an angle, and I remember for like a brief second I like paused and I'm like, "How do I fix this?" And the other part of my brain is like, "Move on. Do not call attention to it. Just move on, and hopefully nobody will notice." And then just boop. It might have been like the Luke Skywalker Lord's lightsaber fight scene or something. I just remember that the way it came up had nothing to do with anything that you would think of normally. And when you don't run with those restrictions in your brain enough times, pop culture references can just do that. But I've been going back and rewatching more Whose Lines, since it's going to mimic Whose Lines format, which is very different than the way we ran our shows.
Yep, you're all going to be sitting in
chairs.
seats.
Yep.
And then it'll be scenes from a hat.
Yeah, it's one of the ones we practice, scenes from a hat. But and also the vast majority of the suggestions are going to be got before the show even begins.
Oh, okay.
Which is different, because while you're waiting out in the lobby to get your ticket and stuff, filling out the little note cards.
Yeah.
500 sheets of. They have a lobby thingy, yeah, with a little refrigerator with Cokes in it and stuff.
Wow.
It's Arvada. I'm not sorry. I keep saying Arvada when I mean to say Wheat Ridge. It's a Wheat Ridge Theater.
Oh, it's nice.
Or
you keep wanting to say Arvada when it's really Arvada.
Arvada.
Yeah.
Arvada.
It's the number one how you can tell Troy is not from here.
Yeah.
That and that little town that's between here and Boulder that you keep wanting to call Louisville.
I know that one's Lewis because it's not cool.
I always call it Louisville.
Yep.
That one's Lewis.
It wouldn't be so bad, except that there's a center out there. We've got one of our driving centers out there.
Speaking of driving centers and Wheat Ridge, what is up with Wheat Ridge? Because I saw that email. Have you ever taught there?
It's my home. That's my home station.
Okay. From the email, this is like the second time I've seen this email saying this whole list of things like don't do these things at this center when you're teaching here. I'm like,
I don't think happily bring you up to speed Friday night.
Okay.
I'm not on air.
I am never teaching there, is all I can say. I don't want to risk any of that stuff.
Well, there are two things that are good. One, it's a small center, so never more than about 10 or 11 kids. And two, if you've got control of the classroom, it's not that big of a deal. So
okay. I think we scared either Bob or Brent off. I only see one.
I think we've scared a lot of people off.
I'm that'll sure. Take that. All right, cool. Yeah, I guess the A sounds way too country in my brain. So Arvada sounds like something that a Southern Kentucky Texan would say, and Arvada sounds Arvada, some great poupon.
Yeah, that flat A though is one of the telltales of the Colorado accent, because we're Colorado, not Colorado.
Colorado.
And you can usually tell people who aren't from here because they'll say, "Oh, you're from Colorado? That's cool."
Chile, Colorado.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it should be because it's a Spanish word, but the flat A is our thing.
I see. So Colorado is the correct Spanish pronunciation. Colorado is the American pronunciation.
Well, it's Colorado if you're going to say it in Spanish, because it'd be colo, like color, and then rodo, or like red, rodo, with that sort of TH D. A D that sort of becomes sort of a TH sound.
Considering this is the same place that calls Galapagos Street Galapagos, and it's not the Galapagos Islands.
No, I call it Galapagos. I think it's still called Galapagos.
No, everyone
is actually called Galapagos.
People around here call it They pronounce it Galapagos.
Nice. It's also Quebec.
The vast majority of people I don't think realize that there's an island called Galapagos Islands.
Yes. No, I mean the street's also called Quebec, and it's been so hard to bring myself around to the city in Canada because they keep wanting to call it Quebec, and it's because I'm from here.
Those Quebecois will eat your lunch.
Oh, they would have me. So yeah, they'd get me for that. But yeah, because it's. And of course, it's Buena Vista. So, all the places, it's almost like one of the telltales of Colorado is that the Coloradans don't pronounce anything the way they were from. Whatever source it was from, you can guarantee we will not do that. Whatever it is. Except that I do think that Arvada was the way you pronounce that guy's name. He was he was the brother-in-law of, oddly, a guy named George Washington Wadsworth, who, that's where Wadsworth comes from, the name of the street, Wadsworth, which is funny because people often think it means like the writer Wadsworth, because we've got Kipling and Wadsworth and all of those that are going that way, and Ward and all of those, but it isn't. George Washington Wadsworth was the headmaster of the first school in Arvada, which is now the schoolhouse and a restaurant, which we've often been to.
For my prep for the game, I was listening to a podcast going over a lot of the stuff in the city I exposed you all to, and one of the sub areas, because they're going through and listing them, someone's like, and this one's called Tradegate, and he's like, when I looked at it, I thought it was Tradagate.
It's like Mr. Tiatime from the Discworld novels.
Yes.
Trogdor! It's Trogdor! Trogdor was a man. Maybe he was a dragon man. Maybe he was just a dragon.
A dragon.
He was still Trogdor!
Trogdor!
Still my Trogdor t-shirt.
Nice.
Oh, man, I love Trogdor.
There was a Trogdor board game that I never played and wondered if I wanted it, and decided not to get it because it'd be yet one more game I probably never played, and it would just sit on a shelf. And it didn't come with a really cool Trogdor miniature as far as I know, and that'd be the whole reason to get it.
Right. Trogdor bigature.
Yeah. So I finished a Netflix series with Michelle Yeoh called The Sun Brothers. I'm sorry, Brother Sun. It's weird. I think 18-year-old Troy would have loved it. Because 18-year-old Troy, justice and revenge were interchangeable in my brain.
Right.
They were one and the same. And someone wrongs you, then you are in your right to get your revenge on them, because that is justice. There's a reason why Batman and Punisher were like my two favorite heroes at that time. Whereas now much older Troy has a different view on things, and also know how good writing is, how characters are supposed to change from where they are and when they end up. And when I see a show where it's pretty much, you're pretty much the same person and you've learned nothing. All right, I don't know if I want to watch the season 2 or not. But if it has Michelle Yeoh in it, I'll watch it because I watch her reading the phone book. That I will put a little spoiler in here and say they did not write her a character to highlight her skills, which is what I fully expected. So I was both happy from a writer standpoint, but disappointed as I wanted to see Michelle Yeoh kick everybody's ass.
Well, but I also think she's slowing down a little.
I think she said, everybody that writes me in something makes me a martial artist. Make me something different.
Yeah, but I mean, I think also, she's older than us.
Well,
and
yeah.
I have no question at all that woman could still just kill everybody with her pinky finger. I'm sure that at some point it's kind of refreshing to know that you do not have to get up in the morning and do 47,000 trillion push-ups and sit-ups just so you can prep for the day. You know, you can just sit there and have coffee and you know.
Was that from 100 Bullets? Who does 100? No, it was from Kick-Ass. Who gets up and does 100 bullet, or who does 100 push-ups every day? And it was Hit Girl, and Hit Girl's like, I do.
Yep.
Kicks all their butts. But yeah, it was interesting. One of the main characters is does improv. It's when they first show him and he puts his keychain down and his keychain says yes, and I'm like, is he a fan of improv? And it turns out that he's like secretly taking improv classes because his mom doesn't want him doing that. So,
no son of mine is doing improv under my roof.
Dirty improv. But the cool thing is, pretty much the entire cast is Asian. So the creators of it made that their point. They wanted to make sure Asian actors got jobs and weren't replaced with white people playing Asian people.
Well, I feel like I find it's funny because there's so much complaining about the woke culture and things like that. But I feel like now if you were to do that, it doesn't go over well anymore, which is good.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of people.
I mean, it still happens, and it still happens a lot more than I would like it to. I'm looking at you guys, Bob Orsi, and the ones who did that Star Trek movie that I won't talk about because I don't like it. But I mean, and it even happens in the big franchises. But I think that I think finally the culture though is doing the, now come on, because I just recently watched Echo, the what we've got of Echo.
That's on my list to watch. I've heard great things about it, and it
actually was really good. And
I heard it stays in the style of the Punisher, the Daredevil, and Luke Cage, which I really liked all of those. So I'm really happy to see Disney is opening up that avenue, even though it's Disney that they're letting these type of shows be made, and they do have it kid protected, which I thought was good. So,
and it says this is for mature audiences in each episode. But the thing I really liked about it was when we started getting into, well, first of all, it all takes place in a little, native city in Oklahoma. And it's like the native cities I've been to. You know what I mean? Like everybody pretty much acts the way that I remember when I was growing up as a kid. All the natives and everything like that is the way they talked and the way they dealt with each other and the way they interfaced with each other. And so it was clearly written by somebody who at least lived in that culture a little bit. But then they had, a powwow, and the powwow is pretty much like our powwow here, except, half the size or a quarter of the size or whatever. The Denver powwow is pretty huge, but it was really interesting and nice.
Refreshing to see that they got whoever their advisors.
Yeah, especially since all of my life, because my mother had gotten involved with the natives here a lot, and especially when she was representing them in movies and things like that, there was a lot of nighttime discussions where I'd be sitting in the living room with a couple of them talking to mom, talking to me, all of us talking about the way the industry handles natives and the way that it's dealt with. And it was refreshing to just see, hey, it looks like somebody's actually listening out there, because this pretty much feels like what it felt like when all you guys were over at our place, hanging out with us.
I haven't seen any of this yet, but I want to. It's been out for a while. It's called Reservation Dogs. It's a comedy series.
I've heard that one.
I'm curious to get your take on that, because I have no actual.
If you say dog in the race, I'm going to laugh.
I wasn't going to say that. I always thought it was interesting, though, because of how my biological dad used to claim we had some connection to Native Americans, and then, but could never give me any information on it. And then when, of course, my wife, who's really good at genealogy, did her thing, and she's like, I'm not finding anything. And I'm like, I'm not surprised. I just don't understand why someone who, like him, would claim such a thing. Because my brother's point was like, if it's true, we should be using that to help us in college. If it's not true, he needs to shut his mouth.
Well, and that I mean, you guys know that happened in my family too. And then once we did the 23andMe, we found out that there isn't a drop of native blood in my family at all.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a family tradition that was very well held, that we had natives really close. And for whatever reason, that was a tradition that had held very strongly, and all kinds of stuff. And so there was tradition on that one. And then after my mom had passed away, my sister did genealogy, and we did it 3 or 4 times. We keep updating it because every time we do a new one, we get more information. And we've 3 or 4 different times. And in none of them have we been anything other than almost pure Scottish.
Was it both your parents that believed there was something in there, or just one of them?
Yeah, both. I mean, both my mom and my dad, because my dad knew my mom's family. Mm-hmm. So my dad believed that my mom's family was also descendant. And then there was like one of my aunts was like, no, this isn't right, and kind of started pulling away. And this was right around about the very end of my mom's life, just before I went to Japan, and da 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 da. And so once I went to Japan, my sister was the one who was doing all of the real research in our DNA, and every one of them has come back saying there's not a drop of native blood, which is fine. And that's totally cool.
It's apparently really common for white people to want to claim some kind of connection there.
Well, and it is. And, I feel kind of silly that I claimed it but I mean, we all make stupid
mistakes. Hey, but you corrected it, and that's what matters.
Yeah. I mean, it's all good. I'm Scottish.
So I can tell Alex wants to say something here.
Oh, sorry. It's there's a couple of things. One, I mean, there's probably some. I mean, maybe some of the reasons aren't terrible. It's like, oh well, these Native Americans have been screwed over, like we've been screwed over. Let's try to, claim some of that, or they're good, they're cool in these ways, or it could just be terrible. It's like, you know what, we can't possibly be racist against them because we're part them,
right?
However, Trey Crowder and the other liberal rednecks do have a joke that they say once in a while, and that is, what do you call 24 Southerners at a party? One full-blooded Cherokee.
They always make that joke at powwow.
Nice.
That oh, I'm related. My great grandmother was a Cherokee princess. It's like an ongoing joke.
Yeah. Because if it is true, like some white guy can't possibly have fallen in love with just any old Native woman and married her and such. He has to be special in some way to equal his special whiteness.
No matter which way you look at it, though, it's all good.
So Echo, you give a thumbs up.
I give a thumbs up on Echo. Like I said, I grew up adjacent to that culture. Yeah. And so from my observation, which is not, I mean, it's not informative, but I'm getting very big positive reviews also from my buddies who are Native. So they're not offended. And in fact, Iacon had a little challenge for everybody to draw an Echo picture a couple of weeks back in honor of Echo. So the series. So I would assume that means that the folks at Iacon are at least giving it somewhat of a positive review.
Cool.
And that's a definite plus. So
yeah, thanks for the review. I was wondering about it.
Yeah, I liked it. It's slow at the first episode, so it builds. So be aware.
At least it's not slow for the entire season, like Warrior Nun.
Right.
As when Warrior Nun got to like the last 5 minutes of the last episode, I'm like, they should have started here because now I'm interested.
Oh, is Warrior Nun awful? I haven't checked it out yet.
I hate to say this, guys, but I'm gonna have to go.
It's because you're awful.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
you are awful.
Because that's all the time that we've got for today, unfortunately.
The time you got for today.
Thanks for joining us, Bob. Thanks for joining us, Brent.
Yep.
And thanks for joining us, Ghost Person number 3 and Ghost Person number 4, who just now joined us.
You just joined us in time for Guy to pull the plug. But you can go back and like
rewatch us
and rewatch this. It just won't be live.
Right. However, that is unfortunately all the time we have for today. I've been Guy.
I've been Troy.
And I've been Alex.
And this is Geek Tank.